Hello, and welcome to Art a la Carte. Today we're going to be talking about art, women, and change. Our guests are two women who've managed to raise children and have a career and stay married. Quite an accomplishment nowadays. They're both accomplished artists, and they live and work in Queens. First, I want to introduce Evelyn Eller. She's exhibited her work at the Whitney, and she's exhibited at the Brooklyn Museum and the Smithsonian. She's traveled to Europe and studied art in Rome. Mildred Sachs. Millie has the distinction of being one of the first women advertising art directors. She's won 6 awards, including the coveted Andy Award. She studied art with the renowned artist Hans Hofmann, and besides that, raised 2 children. Her trailblazing work in the advertising business has really been an inspiration to many women. No one would certainly accuse you of following the beaten path. You've done things that have been, well, most of us only dreamed of doing, especially back in the 50s, winning a Fulbright, something that is just something that we only read about. And studying art in Rome is still my dream, so tell me, how did you do it?
Well, I was only 21 when I got the Fulbright Fellowship, and it really changed my life very much. It was the first time I had ever traveled, and the first time I had seen anything of antiquity or of the beauty of Europe. It was the first time that I didn't have to work or didn't have to go to school, and I was just there as a sponge absorbing everything that I saw and just functioned as an artist. I was able to work when I was traveling, and I did a lot of collage at the time because I had been I was a painter and have always painted, but I was traveling and just had a dining room table that I could work on. So I used a lot of the papers that I found available in Italy.
Is that how you got into doing collage?
Yes. Well, I had started doing collage when I was in art school, also before. But in Italy, I did much more of it because I didn't have a studio set up. Mm-hmm. I was very influenced by abstract art at the moment. I was doing a lot of work that was related to Cubism and related to the abstract expressionists. But the landscape, the visual landscape, was extraordinary, and I absorbed it, and I think it came out in my work much later, not at the time.
Do you have something here?
Yes, this particular piece was done in 1955, and it's very abstract and very much of the Cubist influence. Some of the papers are painted oil paper, and others are just found papers that I had. Afterward, when I was in California in 1959, I did this piece. And when I was in San Francisco, I became much more aware of Oriental papers. This is a Oriental paper. Still, it is a Cubist influence, but I started incorporating Oriental papers at that time.
So different surroundings really bring out, I mean, they look so different. They're different in color, and they're different in textures, and I guess they really do represent the different kinds of places that you were in. This one certainly is very sunny and feeling warm. Yeah. California.
Mm-hmm. The next one with the red and the yellow was done in 1969 when I already had children and was working at home. It was very influenced by Matisse. And the piece afterward was done in 72. That has the beginnings of the Oriental influence, which I have used much later on. The red piece, the red and yellow piece, is something that I did because I didn't really have very much time. I had a lot of constraints on my time.
What were the constraints?
At that time, a child of 7 and a child of 5.
Okay. So, put a crimp in your time.
Right. So I really couldn't set up my easel and set up my oil paint, and I was working in collage. I could just put something down and run out and get my daughter or get my son wherever I had to, and then come back and paste up what I wanted to do afterward, and it was perfect at that time.
Did you find that there was a lot of impact on your work once you were married and had kids? Evelyn, did you find that there was a big change once you had kids? Was it difficult to manage everything, juggle all of the different hats that we have to wear as women?
Yes, I found that there was certainly constraints on my time. And I think the biggest effect of those constraints was that during a 10-year period, I really didn't do anything to pursue my professional career. I continually worked, and I insisted to myself that I put in 2 hours a day, whether I sold or did anything with that work or not. But I couldn't go out and make contacts or have slides done or do anything that would advance my career for a 10-year period. I was very lucky. I had a very supportive husband who allowed me really to work and to care for the children and to care for the house and not have to bring money in financially. I didn't really make any money out of my art until the early 70s when I started to sell a bit. But before that, I was just really helped by my husband.
So that's one of the advantages of being married. That certainly is it. I think the three of us can agree. As a woman, do you feel that you've created change, or do you feel that in some way the changes that were brought about by the women's movement had a really big impact on your life?
Well, it's a little hard to know how you've changed other people or affected change, but in the mid to late 70s and early 80s, I was part of consciousness raising and women's support groups. And I think that in some ways I must have been a role model to some of the younger women artists to show them that you could have a family and be a wife and mother and also pursue your art and do it very seriously. The women's movement helped me a great deal. I think it gave me the license to really demand to be accepted as a serious artist and not as a woman who did this for her own pleasure or for her children's education. I did get support from other women at that time, and many more opportunities are opened up now because of the women's movement in the galleries and in the art world in general. There's still more to be done. There's still gender discrimination and age discrimination, but it is much better than it was in the 50s or early 60s. There's tremendous difference.
Well, and your focus has really been pretty consistently on collage. And you've brought some really wonderful collages to show us. Could you talk about them?
Yes, in the last few years I've been working primarily in relationship to nature and landscape. And I use many Oriental papers that sort of suggest fibers or suggest beaches, and the texture in the Oriental papers really have a very natural feeling. I also paint my paper. This is painted paper where I use either oils or acrylics to give me exactly the color that I want, and also the effect. I use this is painted on rice paper so that you get the texture underneath of the blue. This is another piece that is very landscape oriented. I work often in diptychs and triptychs because the paper itself is very small and confined, and so if I want to get a larger panoramic view, then I will use a few pieces that are related to the same thing. And this paper I have painted, and some of the other pieces are Oriental found papers.
Now, when you say you work in diptychs, and then you hang them side by side,
yes,
and you frame them?
Yes.
How are they usually framed?
Often in large plexiglass boxes. Most of the things I don't frame myself. Those are usually done by art consultants or corporations that buy them. But they can extend to 72 inches or to 100 inches by just piecing them together.
To me, this looks like a beach scene, and you know, I just see dunes and the ocean. Looks very much. Where was it? What was the inspiration?
I don't think it was a particular place, but I'm very aware of the environment, and I've done a lot of traveling. I've been to Greece and Italy and Israel, and all of these colors and light and all of these things just stay within me, and then I translate it in the studio.
Do you quickly want to show us one of the books that you brought?
Yes. This book is very much related to the landscape collages. It is a book that is an accordion fold and opens up in this way. The images are individual images that you would see when you were, say, driving past a landscape, either in a train or in a car, and the image changes as you move, so that the book suggests motion in the turning of the pages, and also the image changes
Well, I
in the
know that
landscape.
you have a lot of this work is on display now. If anyone watching is lucky enough to go to the East-West Center in Honolulu, they can see your work on display. And you're also going to be doing a show at the Torpedo Factory in Alexandria, Virginia. And you're going to be showing someplace else very soon?
In Manhasset, I'm going to be having a solo show in Manhasset.
And Millie, you're going to be showing in December 5th, where?
At Queens College.
At Queens College.
Rosenthal Library.
Okay, so we'll look forward to those two shows. And it's really been a treat to talk to both of you. It's been wonderful. I'm really glad that you came. And thank you all for watching Art a la Carte. We'll be back again very soon. Bye-bye.